Mr. Boaty.
Name's Roger Boaty. Mr. George Roger Boaty.
Good evening, darlings. How are you? It's lovely to be back with you again. And how are you all doing? What have you all got? Oh, you're in the wrong place again. You're in the wrong place again. You're not central. You're not at all central. I keep telling you. Nobody listens to me. How are you all doing, darlings? I am knackered. So, what have you got to tell me? Tell me anything you like. Tell me how your day has been. Tell me what you've eaten tonight. Tell me what you've been up to. Anything you like. Anything you like tonight. Steve Cole, good evening. Jimmy Quinn, lovely. Matt's here, splendid. Simone, that's grand. Black Lines, who I've now learned is called Steve. Oh, Trisha's here, lovely. The lovely Trisha Alderman. Mark on motoring, splendid. Underscore says we should all be thankful. Should we indeed? Underscore. And he continues. We should all be thankful Boaty is British and not American, with how eager he is to shoot people with his camera. And that's a little bit of an inside joke that won't mean anything to you tonight, but it will tomorrow night, and that's all I'm going to say about that. Simone has been editing, and Matt is enjoying a cheeky little snack from a certain restaurant. It was a cheeky little snack as well, wasn't it? Liz is here, Jabberwocky 220 GTI. Splendid. Oh gosh, all of my favourite people all together. Well, that's lovely. Now, what have I got to tell you? Well, a couple of bits of fairly, I was going to say big, not really big news, but a couple of bits of interesting news. Stigbürt, the Honourable Stigbürt von Thündercock. And if anybody is new to my videos or to the channel or to any of that sort of thing, Stigbürt von Thündercock, the Honourable Stigbürt von Thündercock. Now I've got Thundercock stuck in my mind. Stigbürt von Thündercock. Anyway, Stigbürt von Thündercock is my MGZT 190. And as many of you know, I had a moment in him. Gosh, how long ago is it now, loves? What is it, 6 weeks, 7 weeks? It's been a while, hasn't it? But finally, Stigbürt went down to the classic car specialist this morning to, well, to see what the score is and to see where we go from here. And, you know, can he be saved? Hopefully he can be saved, and hopefully he can be saved while still under my ownership. But yeah, we'll see. I've not heard anything as yet. But the good bit of news is that, again, for those of you who don't know, I live here on top of the hill, and halfway down the hill there is a long established garage called Ladywood Classic Car Specialist things. And it's a small garage, and it's an MOT place, and it's a fuel station, and I don't know why I'm talking like that. That's weird. Stop that immediately. And it's one of those old-fashioned fuel stations where you don't serve yourself. It is attended service. Specifically, you are attended by the lovely Maxine. But the garage part of it is a classic car specialist place, and they do all sorts there, but they kind of attract the really top level stuff. So I'm down there most days for one reason or another, whether it's to get a bit of fuel or to get a bit of something that I need, or just to have a nose around. And you know, you'll rock up and it's not uncommon to see Rolls Royce, Bentleys, Lamborghini, Porsche, Ferrari. What was down there today? A classic Mini, a 911, a couple of racing track prepared MG midgets. It's one of those really interesting places that if you're a car enthusiast, you would love to just hang around. Now, it was originally owned by owned and run by a Scottish gentleman who still lives next door and still deals the odd car off there. And he was a career motor trade man. And he dealt in what was then modern stuff, mainly and almost specifically Peugeot. But when it was handed on to his son David, it became the kind of classic orientated place that it is now. And David is a genuine enthusiast, as is Mark, who works with him. And he's, by all accounts, quite a talented racing driver. And he races historic cars, his own cars. And he's got a car collection. I don't even know everything that's in his collection. But he's got the kind of collection that would make you turn blue. Kind of with envy, you know what I mean? He's got things like, he did that thing that we all kind of dream of doing, where you buy something new that you think is going to be a massive future classic, and you just put it away. You dry store it and you don't use it. And he's done that with a few cars. So what's he got in there with, you know, almost 0 miles on the clock? Well, he's got, from what I know of, he's got an original Sierra Cosworth with like a handful of miles on it. He's got an MG ZTT 260 with a handful of miles on it, and various other things. And they're lovely people. I've had work done there, not so much lately because I've had stuff done with Mustard. And I know they're good people because they take the piss out of me. I've mentioned it before. You know, when you've got a good relationship with people and people are good eggs, when you can mutually rip the piss out of each other and you've got that healthy sort of matey relationship. But my God, are they experts. Now, one of my subscribers, he had a car, a Mini actually, that had been to every specialist that he could find to have a certain issue sorted. And this is a chap that you will all know because he owns one of the most famous Rover 25s in the UK, I guess. Certainly one of the most high profile. And he went everywhere to try and get this sorted. He ended up going down to the boys at Ladywood, and they sorted it. They got it done. They're absolutely brilliant. But I've never done anything down there. I've never recorded anything because, and I don't know why. I don't know exactly what age David is, but he's kind of my age or upwards, as is Mark. And perhaps wrongly, I just assumed that they wouldn't be into YouTube and wouldn't want that kind of thing going on. But I was down there today, obviously dropping Stigbürt off and chatting about it. And they were absolutely cool. They're not into YouTube, but they're aware of it. And, you know, I guess that being business people, they're aware to the profile that you can get off it. And they were actually quite keen for me to film. And quite willing, or at least David was perfectly willing to appear on film. So we did a tiny little bit today, but I mean, there's some amazing stuff that gets down there. There really is. So I'm going to make it kind of a daily habit to just nip down there and just have a quick pop in and nose around and say hello and get a bit of content down there, because I think that you'll really enjoy it. And if I can encourage David to talk a bit more on camera, then and Mark as well, then I think you'll really enjoy that, because he's incredibly knowledgeable, very personable, and you'll get to see some really fabulous cars, and maybe we can get the stories behind some of his own cars, and I can show you the track cars and all of that sort of thing. So I'm quite excited about that. What I'm less excited about is the fact that I had to walk back. I enjoyed elements of that. Much of it I didn't enjoy. I hadn't realised quite how unfit I was. But yeah, you'll see all of this in the film tomorrow, darlings. So, Stigbürt is in. We've got our fingers crossed that he's not too desperately buggered up, and that somehow or other, between us, because bless you, some of you have helped already and many of you have offered to help. So between us, hopefully we can get him sorted and get him properly back on the road where he deserves to be. And I can get him out to some shows and meets this year so that he can meet you and you can meet him. So yeah, that happened today. And what else? Brian finally, oh no, that was yesterday, wasn't it? I did something else today. What did I do? I'm sure I did something. I made lunch. I remember that. Oh, I had Momo today. Momo Day is always the best day of any week. And they were utterly fabulous as usual. I'm sure I did a job today. I'm sure I did a thing. But maybe I didn't. Oh, I did. I did. Of course I did. Yeah, of course I did. No, I did those yesterday, Matt. Hello, Rover Joe. Yeah, oh, let's just do the comments and then I'll tell you about the thing I did. Let's keep on top of these tonight. I'm not going to be late tonight, darlings. Oh God. I'm knackered, and I imagine you guys must be as well. I'm honestly, restaurant was quiet tonight after a busier than expected night yesterday, and my eyes were closing at about 9 o'clock. I was really struggling. So yeah, I'm going to toodle off reasonably early today. We'll wrap this up at about no later than midnight, let's say, and let's all have a bit of an earlier night. Right, so Simone's been editing. Liz has been saying hello to us. Steve has been vacuuming his car out as it's in for a service tomorrow, and found some unopened fruitellas that the kids left in the door pocket. Unlucky. What, you mean unlucky for them on the grounds that you're going to scoff them? Oh, Jimmy, bless your heart. I hadn't noticed this. Oh, this is lovely. Jimmy Quinn says, over the weekend, I got my 14-year-old laptop out, and it took me 3 hours to subscribe to your channel because my iPad won't do it. Jimmy, I really appreciate that. I've got a new channel member. How good is that? God, I get so excited by channel members. I really do. And thank you so much, Jimmy. Your iPad would do it. Your iPad would do it. You didn't need to get your laptop out, mate. The way to do it on your iPad is to access YouTube, not via the iPad app, but to go onto Safari onto your internet browser and then go to YouTube on the browser, and you then get exactly the same as on your 14-year-old laptop, mate. And the same goes for anything. Even for me, now I live on my iPad, as you know. I used to live on 2 iPads until the other one gave up the ghost. And ideally, I do need 2 laptops, but 2 iPads. But I'm coping with just the one, and we'll continue to cope with just the one until I can upgrade this one, you know, which will be, oh God, the arse end of this year when we're headed back into winter. But yeah, there are certain things on YouTube that you can't do on the YouTube app or on the YouTube Studio app. But you don't need to go onto your laptop to do it. Just go onto your browser on your iPad and you can do all of these things. It gives you the exact, literally the exact same functionality as on your laptop or PC. But Jimmy, I'm really grateful for that, and that means that I'm going to have to ask my nice French lady friend to record a new outro for the videos to add on another channel member. That's 16. God, I'm blessed. 16 of you lovely people have become channel members. Oh, and I need to upgrade you in the Facebook group as well, so you get the channel member thing on there. Jimmy, thank you, mate. I'm really, really grateful. And I'm sorry I hadn't noticed that. I don't get millions of channel members like Hubnut or Matt or even Captain Mustard. So it's not like I check on a daily basis to see who signed up to become a channel member, because it's like once a month I get one rather than once a day. That's made my day, that has. Bless you, Jimmy. I'm doubly grateful. Now that, oh, let me grab that. I'm going to need this to show you half of the thing I did today. It's not much of a thing, but it is a thing. Right, Mark on motoring, who is, and let's remember that Mark is newly amongst us. Mark is the lovely guy that I wasn't aware of or hadn't met previously. Mustard certainly knows him, and many others of you know him. I didn't, to my eternal shame, but I had the great joy of meeting him on Sunday. And look, I'll do it again. I've kept it out. Look. He's posh. He's not like me. He's not some shambolic old idiot like me with an old iPhone and nothing else. Look. Business card. Mark on motoring. You can get him at all of these places. And he's now fully amongst us. He's in the Facebook group and everything. He's a full-on community member. So just another little reminder, subscribe to his channel. You know that's what we do with anybody in the community. We support them, they support us, and Mark is very much one of us now, the poor sod. He probably doesn't know what he's let himself in for. So just another little reminder, his you can see his channel name there, you can see his logo. Get clicked on it, get subscribed, and have a look. And you won't regret it. I've said it before, his videos are great. So, yeah, be sure to do that. Oh, right, you just did the inside, Steve. I live next to a field, and the farmers are out at the minute. It's dusty as hell, so no point in washing the outside. Oh, controversial. Controversial. No point in washing the outside because it's dusty and stuff. Or would you argue that that means that there's more point and you should do it more frequently? I don't know. That's a bit of a bugbear with me because as any of you who've been here or listened to me when I've told you know that even though I live effectively in the arse end of nowhere, I live next door to the one and only road, or road of note, that goes through the arse end of nowhere. So that's great in winter because I can always escape, because that road is usually kept clear. It'll be closed for the odd day or two when the snow's really bad. But the downside is that it throws up loads of dust and shit. So whichever car is in pole position there, outside the front door of the cottage there, you can wash that and it'll be covered in dust in a couple of hours time. Now, the ones that I keep down the road, down by the village hall and the playground, they're further away from the main road. It kind of triangulates, whereas I'm jolly close to it here. So the ones down the road, they don't suffer as badly, and whichever car is in the pits, which is on the private lane and my little parking drive bit at the bottom of the second part of my garden, that doesn't suffer either because there's a row of cottages blocking the shit. But pole position car does. But then pole position car is usually the daily, so I guess it doesn't matter as much. But I don't know, what you rambling on about, boy? Get on with it. Read some comments. Hello all, say Simone. Bear with me, please. And let me just make clear that when she says bear with me, that's bear as in B-E-A-R. Bear as in endure. It's not bear, B-A-R-E. She's not asking you to B-A-R-E, bear with her, meaning get naked. So just to be absolutely clear, Simone is not naked. Well, she might be. I mean, I don't know. I mean, you can see me, I can't see you. But the point is, Simone is not asking you all to get naked. And I would ask you all to please not get naked as well. Because, well, that might put me off somewhat. Even the thought. Oh, God, I don't want to think about that. God, imagine doing that. Imagine doing a live stream where you were all naked and I knew that you were all naked. So even though I couldn't see you, just when I mentioned your name, then an image would flash up of you being naked watching this, and I wouldn't know where you were watching it. I mean, you might be naked sitting at a table like this, where all I could see would be your shoulders and titular areas. You know, not anything too disturbingly graphic. But I mean, imagine if you were lounged out on the settee like that with no table in front of you, watching a widescreen YouTube television thing that I believe that I know nothing about televisions, darling, but darlings. But I understand now that televisuals can be plumbed into the interweb so that you can watch interweb things on your televisual. And of course, televisuals now are not like the televisuals of old, which were proper big things, ideally a Sony, that were all wide and tapered like that. And you put it in the corner of your room. You know, at some point, well, back in the day, it used to be a television and wireless. It had a built-in wireless, which I suppose they do now. When they have all digital channels, they have wireless channels, don't they? So, you know, that's things repeating themselves, because in the old days, your televisual that you rented on a weekly basis from radio rentals would have push buttons, no remote control, no nonsense like that, right? And you could also access the wireless on your televisual. That was brilliant. And some of them had a meter. So if you were renting your televisual from Radio Rental, and they thought that you were dodgy or poor or unlikely to pay your rental payments, then you had a pay-as-you-go televisual, where, like your old gas meters used to have, it had a meter, and you used to put 10 shillings into the meter, or a shilling, or whatever it was, and you got however many hours of televisuals for it. And then when it conked out, you'd have to feed the meter again. But that was how they used to be. And then, of course, video cassette recorders came in, or VCRs. And yeah, you used to get the old top loaders. Some of you are not going to know what I'm talking about. You won't have a clue, Rover Joe, will you? But yeah, you had the old top loader. You pressed the button, right? And a thing rose out, clingy clonk. And then you took your VHS cassette out, put it back in, clonk. Absolutely impossible to use when you were a teenager down in your front room, hoping to look at something a little bit racy, and your parents were upstairs in bed, and you're begging the top loader VCR to please perform quietly, and instead it's going clonk, whiz, clonk, bang. Oh God, the old top loaders. And they used to come with a remote control, except it was on a wire, not an infrared remote control. No, it was on a wire, which was great because it meant you couldn't lose it. And believe it or not, darlings, and some of you won't, telephones used to come on a wire as well. Oh yeah. Oh yes. I believe that there's a video somewhere that you can watch where young people are given an old rotary dial telephone and asked to try and use it. And of course they haven't got a bloody clue. So they wouldn't know any of the tricks that we used to know back in the day. So that if your parents, right, the old rotary dial, yeah, you know what I'm talking about, some of you, and your parents could buy a lock to put in it so you couldn't use the telephone to call your mates or your girlfriend and run up a bill. But if you were clever, the two thingamabobs that the receiver rested on, by agitating those, you could Apologies for that, ladies and gentlemen. I ran out of interwebs. But I was saying, yeah, that sort of knowledge is what set this generation apart. And that's the reason why Great Britain won 3 world wars, all on its own, without any help from the Americans or anybody else. Stuff like that. Remote controls on a wire. And I've still got a British Telecom rotary dial telephone in kind of maroon in the bedroom on the bedside table on the guest side. I suppose it's the guest side now, isn't it? I mean, at various times it was Bernard's side or Maggie's side or Chinese Madam's side or whoever happened to be there. I guess it's a guest side now, but yeah, I've still got one of those phones there, and it is plugged into to a phone socket, and it does work. And I've got kind of a similar one in the front parlour there, although that one is a bit of a cheat because it looks like a rotary dial phone, but it isn't. It's a push button phone. That's designed to look like a rotary dial phone, but it is all still on a wire, and the handset is still wired to the base unit and all of that sort of thing, and I like that. I'm a big fan of that. And what I would ideally like would be for the front parlour. Those of you who've seen my front parlour, I've got a green theme going on there. And I would love a late 1970s British Telecom trim phone, the wedge-shaped. It looked like an Austin princess that you held to your ear. And it made a very, I'm sorry, first one of the doings. And it made a really exciting high pitch, not like the bring, it sort of went meep, And I'd love one of those. I really would like one of those, and they are available. I'm just always too poor when I look at them. I do that. When I'm poor, I look at things that I'd like to buy. And I was going to say when I'm not poor, I don't, but I haven't been not poor for such a long time that I've forgotten what I do when I'm not poor. Probably go to the casino or go and live in America or go and live in Africa or Ukraine or somewhere. Those are the sort of things I used to... What was I talking about? Televisuals. Yeah, so that's what you had. But these days, of course, everybody has these super slim televisuals and they mount them on the wall over the fireplace where the family portrait used to be. God, things have changed, haven't they? Hey? I like the old days of the big old, whatever they were called, CRT tellies. Sony Trinitrons and all of that business. And happy days, eh? You know, kids today, they will never know the exultant joy of taking some toilet paper, moistening it, and putting it in the record protection tab orifice so that they can record over your mother's recorded versions of Tenko that she recorded and then snap the tab off so you can't record over them, and then put it in one of those video cassette cases that's designed to look like a book and labelled it up on the cassette with those adhesive letters and numbers that used to come with blank video cassettes, so you could actually label them with Mum's Tenko. And yeah, you could grab those, you know, when something was coming on that was really good and you couldn't, you didn't have a spare tape, you could wet toilet paper, jam it in that orifice, and then you could record, oh God, what was that program called? It was a German program that was on, I can't remember. Oh, that's annoying. One of you will know. It was on late night on, I guess it must have been Channel 4. Tutti Frutti. That was it. Tutti Frutti. And it was some kind of German, contestant game show. And I can't remember the exact details. I wish I could. I wonder if this is on YouTube somewhere. All I can remember is when they were getting the prizes, it was like a real life fruit machine, right? You know, on a fruit machine, if you match up the symbols, you win a prize. Well, it was like that, except that instead of the fruit machine, it was women in waistcoats, waistcoats. And it used to go something like this. They'd come on, all tits and teeth, and it went something like, Tutti Frutti, da 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 da, boom! And they'd open up the waistcoats and they'd have the symbols on their titties, on their boobs. And if you got a matching row of titties, then the contestant won some sort of... Did I imagine all of this? I swear to God it was a thing. I swear to God it was a thing. And, you know, when the height of excitement up until that point had been watching Bullseye after your Sunday night bath, that was kind of an eye-opener. Tell me, I'm going to get back to the comments now. Tell me, was Tutti Frutti a thing? Tutti Frutti, da 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 da. I'm sure it was. Oh dear. Anyway. Oh no, Steve prefers cars to be driven than cleaned. Matt says, my sat-nav always tells me that there's a bear on the A1. Always on the right at the same point, but I've never seen it. Right, I'm trying to work that one out. Oh, bear right. Bear right. Yeah. Nice one, Matt. Mustard is with us, except he isn't because he's still editing. Mate here. Rover Joe was late and says hello all. Oh, hello. Bad Book says, out and about repping today, saw a black Lamborghini Countach near Cranwell. Coronation bunting starting to appear in towns and villages. Well, there's a question. Were you a Lamborghini Countach guy or girl? Or were you a Ferrari Testarossa? And have you ever driven either of them? I'm lucky or unlucky enough to have had both. Well, not personally owned, but you know, within the business, I had only ever one Testarossa, and I can even tell you the registration, BOL1X. But I had a few Countaches through, including a very late LP 5000 Quattro Valvole. And I mean, they're hateful things to drive. And as the Grand Tour showed, by modern standards, they're tremendously slow and cumbersome. But my God, you can't deny that they were exciting. They were hateful to drive. They really were. I remember the first time I drove Testarossa, and that was in my dealership at Portway. Took it out down the road to give it a spin, as you would. And the first thing you noticed about it was that it was actually wider than a transit van. And literally. And then to make matters worse, you've got those stupidly expensive ears out on twin sprouty things. So, you know, those are poking over the white line on any normal road. So, you know, that just made any sort of normal driving an absolute nightmare. And the Lambo, the Countach, dear God. I mean, for a start, if any of you have driven one or even sat in one, and you know me, I'm 6'5", I don't fit in a Countach. I do not. The only thing I could do really well in a Countach was to do that flash thing when you reverse them, because rearward vision is zero in a Countach. The very early cars and the prototypes, they had a periscope. You'll think I'm joking. I'm not. They literally had a periscope as a rear view mirror, and that was how you saw behind you, because rearward vision in the inside the cabin is just zero, and it's less than zero if you've got one of those silly wings. And I should add that those wings were added. They've got no aerodynamic or stabilizing benefits whatsoever. They were never wind tunnel tested. They're there purely for visual and aesthetic and excitement effect. They weren't even legal or official. The cars literally left the factory wingless, and those stupid rear wings were bolted on in the bloody car park to get around some law or other. But I was able to do the flash thing where you open the scissor door, sit on the sill, and, you know, obviously I've got good long legs. So you're sitting outside the car with an arm on the steering wheel and your legs on the pedals inside the car, and that's how you reverse it. And that looks super cool. The showroom cars used to come out of the showroom and line up and make a display. And I always used to get a good crowd when I was putting the Lamborghini back inside, because I always did it like that. Not to please the crowd, but because that was the only way I could get the bloody thing into the showroom. Anyway, the point is the Bad Book saw one today, so that's nice. I'd hoped to be up and about this morning, says Matt, to offer you a lift. But I was still up at 5 a.m, so my day didn't go to plan. I'm hoping you'll forgive me. Well, of course I'll forgive you. I didn't know you were planning on doing it. So, you were always still up at 5 a.m. This is the man who, if you haven't seen the live stream of Sunday, went to bed. No, he didn't. He ate a pie at 5 a.m, went to bed, and then got up at 7 a.m. and drove to the motorist in the north of England. So, what time did you actually get up, Matt? I finally got my ass down there. I wasn't early. I got down there about 11:15, something like that. Right. Oh, Cheeseburger's here. Right, that's not aimed at me. Excited by channel members, you pervert. I'm not ashamed. Simone says, oh, hello. Simone says, I have been fettling my new channel. Ooh, a new channel, ladies and gentlemen. I have called it That's Grave. I need to get the first film uploaded tomorrow. For those of you who don't know, Simone has very laudably started doing voluntary work, tending for a church yard. I was going to call it a garden, but it's not a garden, is it? It's a church yard. And it looks as if there's going to be a new channel about all of that. So jolly good luck with that. And obviously we will all support you. Oh, that's a good point, Rover Joe. You need a George Roger Boaty emoji. Good idea. I will get onto that tomorrow. If you drink screw-top wine, says Matt, I can afford to be a member. I do drink screw-top wine. The only time I don't drink it is when you buy it for me. Oh, hello. Oh, hang on. Blackline says, Boaty, I am also a subscriber to the School of Silver Cars. My last 4 cars have been silver. Well, it is the correct colour for a car. Not only are they faster, they look cleaner than they are. Yeah, I've heard that. I've heard a lot of people say that, and it might well be true. The looking cleaner than they are bit, not the going faster bit. And this came up on Mustard's stream, which I didn't watch last night, or only the last bit, because I was at work and it was a late one. But I did watch it in its entirety, because that's how loyal I am to my friend Mustard. I watched the whole thing today, and somebody was asking about my predilection for silver cars. And Mustard gave an answer that was half true and half piss take. Silver is not my favourite colour for a car. Neither is it my choice of colour for a car. But I do have some OCD tendencies, or a what's it mind, and an addictive personality. And so I bought a car, it happened to be silver. The next car that came along that was a no-brainer to buy also happened to be silver, and they were both Rovers. So at that point, and it was pure happenstance, and the cars in question, as some of you know, were originally Sir Arnold Robinson and then the Honourable H.J. Rover. So when I've suddenly got 2 silver Rovers, my stupid mind kicks in and says, well, all of your cars must be silver Rovers now. And there's no arguing with that. So I wasn't a fan of Rovers. In fact, I didn't like them at all. I do now. And I wasn't a fan of silver cars, although I kind of am now. But that's what happened. I got 2 by accident. My addictive personality kicked in. So from then on, every car had to be a Rover, or at least part of the wider Rover group, and it has to be silver. And because I've let that sink in for however long it is now, 18 months or whatever it is, then that's going to be it for life. The rest of all of my cars for the rest of my life are going to be from the Rover group, and they're going to be silver, which is a bugger if I win the lottery, or against all the odds I become an incredibly successful YouTuber and could afford another car that I would like, because I can't have one. I can only have stuff from the Rover group. I mean, I'd like a Rolls-Royce Camargue. I would like a 1987 Bentley Turbo R, one of the first of the ABS and EFI models, where the gear change was still on the column shift. I would like a Shadow 2 with an Oswald Bailey handling kit. I would like a Cloud 3. I would like a Bristol Beaufighter. I would like a Bristol 6. All these things that I would like, and I can't have now, even if I could afford them. So I went through my fantasy garage, if money was no option, assuming that I was limited to Rovers, and came up with some quite exciting things, actually. Anyway, Black Lines has also got silver cars. 00 Garage has joined us again. Another newcomer, another chap that I had the great delight to meet on Sunday, and he just tickled me from the off. Him and Mark, I just thought, oh, these are my sort of people. They're absolutely brilliant. So I'm really, really glad that they've allowed themselves to be sucked into our little mad world here, both here on YouTube and on the Facebook group. And I hope they stick around, and I hope we get to know them better, because they're top guys. They really are, and they're like us. You know, you can have a laugh. They've got a really good, wacky, weird, perverted sense of humour. And of course, they're YouTubers and they're petrol heads. What more could you want? Not much. A message held for review from Cheeseburger. I'm fed up of cleaning bird shit off my car. Really bad this year. Oh, sorry to hear that. Matt says, I thought we had to watch naked. Sorry. I suppose yourself should shut the curtains too. Oh, Matt, don't. We've got a customer. I almost told you his address. It's number 39. I can't tell you the rest of it. And the delivery drivers hate going there. He's a naturist or a naturalist or a nudist or whatever you call them. And he's this big fat guy. And fair play to him. When you deliver his meal, and I have done this, right? He opens the door like that, so that he's behind the door and his head pops round and his arm pops round when he pays. No problem. You know, that's him being considerate, understanding that other people don't wish to share his nudity. But that is kind of let down, and this is why Matt's comment reminded me of this. It's kind of let down by the fact that he likes to look out for his meal arriving, which means that he stands there in his front window with the curtains open like this, proudly stark bollock naked. I mean, he doesn't do that with his hips, but he might as well. So as you're driving up to his place, you're desperately trying. You're driving along like this, desperately trying not to look at this large, very naked gentleman in his front. I mean, bless him, he's a nice guy. But, oh God, he's so naked. Do you know how some people look more naked than others when they're both just naked? He's one of those guys that looks really, really naked. Oh dear. And that's reminded me of my singles network, UK singles network .com. And I've told you this before. I used to do a spoof thing called, oh God, what was it called? SAMS, Singles Arranged Marriage Service, which I did as an ironic thing. I said there were and still are in my singles network so many tens of thousands of people who they're probably not desperate, but they come across as being desperate. What are you looking for in a person? Oh, just somebody with a pulse would be lovely. And, you know, it's probably tongue in cheek, but it makes them sound really desperate. And I came up with this thing, Sam's, saying that if you're fed up of being alone, if you crave a relationship so much, crave a marriage so much, not being able to find one through the normal channels, this is for you. Sign up to Sam's, you will be assigned a spouse, and that's it. You go get married, make the best of it. Arranged marriage. We can't guarantee age, anything like that. You take what you get, you make the best of it. And my ironic point was that however desperate you might think you are, you're not that desperate, because only an idiot would sign up for that. And that was what it was supposed to do. It was supposed to be a thing that nobody signed up to, and they realised that, yeah, I'm not that desperate. I shouldn't come across as that desperate. I should just be more sensible and proactive in finding people to date and ultimately trying to find a relationship. But they didn't, did they? They all signed up to it, the fucking idiots. And God, I remember this so well. I thought, this is ridiculous. So I made them sign a disclaimer. I wrote this disclaimer saying that that they understood that they were that they might that they had no control over who they were going to be given as a spouse. That there was no guarantee that it would be somebody of the age, colour, type that was their preference. I didn't even guarantee that it would be somebody of the gender of their preference. And then it went on to say that by signing up for Sam's, they were agreeing and acknowledging that they would go through with this, and that when they were allotted a spouse, they would become legally married. And I just went on and on and on, thinking nobody in their right mind would sign this. They all did. They all did. So then I got really silly, and I told them that it was all computerized, and that the computer matches would be made by algorithms which picked up on their group activity. That was me being clever. It was to get them to be more active in the group, to talk about themselves, to put themselves out there so that they could find somebody of interest, or somebody could find them organically, because, you know, they just wouldn't be active in the group, and they expected somebody to come along by magic. So I told them that, and then to prove it, I showed them the machine. And I told them that the machine was called the Singles HRD. Didn't tell them what it stood for. And I showed them the Singles HRD, which was a large box that a pair of my new boots came in, with Singles HRD written on it in black marker pen, and with an iPad either side with a charging cable just poked through the gap in the box, so it looked a little bit as if it was plugged in. Absolute bollocks. And I never told them HRD stood for hat replacement device, because what I did, all of the bloody lovely idiotic barn pots who signed up for this, I just printed their names off, put all the names in the HRD in the shoebox, and just pulled them out at random and said, right, it's you and you, off you go, get married, good luck, let us know how you get on. And the mad thing is, the very first Sam session that I did, and I swear to God this is true, if any of you guys are members of Singles and were there at the time, you'll remember this. I genuinely picked them out at random. Men were picked with men, women were picked with women, then were negotiated about amongst themselves as to whether they could swap spouses before they actually had to go and get married. But amazingly, what are the chances of this? And I swear to God it happened. I picked out two names and they were a man and a woman. And having been picked out to be arranged marriage spouses, they started talking to each other. Turns out, and this is why I'm reminded of this story, turns out they're both naturists. What are the chances? And they went on a date together, nude, and they ended up getting married. True story. Absolutely true story. And I was invited to their nude wedding. And I didn't go. I didn't go. Oh, God. Oh. Happy days. Sorry I'm sounding a bit choky. You won't believe this. I had a glass of wine just before I started the music. Had a sip of a glass of wine. Straight down the wrong hole. Concentrating on the music and everything else. I don't know if it's an age thing. Straight down the wrong hole. I'm doing it all the bloody time now. I'm doing that as well. I do apologise. Jimmy Quinn says, Matt, you should get free membership. And he did get free membership. He got a month's free membership. And I agree that he should get free membership, but that's not something that I can do. I can't give somebody a membership. If I could, I would, but I can't. You can pay for a membership. It's only a couple of quid. It's like 2, 3, 4 quid. Or you can buy memberships which are gifted to other people at random, which is how I ended up on, when was it? Sunday night? Monday night? I ended up being gifted a bloody Hubnut channel membership. And now I'm getting all of these Hubnut videos popping up on my feed saying, channel members only, with titles like, I hope you like being a proper Hubnutter now, and you get access to all of these things that the other people don't, because you're special. I will never watch one of those videos. Cheeseburger says, having heard about the three amigos talking about Todger recognition on Monday, we don't wish to know about your nakedness. Todger recognition, did we? Oh, God, did we? Oh, that was me, wasn't it? Oh, was that on the live? Oh, it must have been, otherwise you wouldn't have seen it. I haven't put the lunch video up, or the driving to lunch video up, have I? Oh, God, did I? Was that all on the live stream when I was talking about, could you recognise your own Todger in a lineup? Oh, dear God. I shouldn't be let loose in front of a camera. Steve says, I refuse to watch this stream on the living room TV after the dramatic reading. Yeah, that happened. Well, he says it happened anyway, and I believe him. It's back to my Saturday bedtime stories, where, for those of you who don't know, on the occasional Saturday, instead of a normal live stream, I sit and read a piece of, I sit and read a story to you, a very questionable story. And Steve alleges, and I believe it's true, that he watched the first one, and you've got no idea what it is. They're just Boaty's bedtime stories. That's all. There's no mention of the fact that they're the worst sort of depraved, perverted filth that you can ever imagine. And he unsuspectingly put this on his big TV in the front room, and there's me booming out about, what was the first one? It was a Peaches for Three, wasn't it? Yeah, about two nice ladies having their deciding to, one of them had a really nice boyfriend and they decided that they'd share him one night. I mean, it's just utterly depraved, pornographic material. And poor old Steve is sitting there in his family home in his front room with this blaring out of his widescreen TV and my idiotic fat face trying not to laugh as I'm reading it out and doing all of the sound effects. Oh God, I'm so sorry, Steve. I'm not sorry at all. I think it's hilarious. Oh dear. Headphones and laptops all the way, says Steve. Very wise. Oh God, very wise. I'm on Sky Q in the conservatory, says Cheeseburger. Quite safe here. Mustard says, hello again. And then he says, what? I only have 23. You only have 23 what? Am I behind on the comments again? That comes across as a non sequitur. The meter always ran out before the film ended though. 00 Garage. Who remembers the old days of pay-on-demand television that was literally pay-on-demand when you had to put a shilling into a slot? Oh dear. I remember when I moved out of Mum's house, says Simone, my first flat had an electric meter that only accepted the old 50p's. We were poor, says 00. We could only afford Betamax. God, well, that was the big thing, wasn't it? If you were at home, oh, hello. What do you mean, go to bed? Why should I go to bed? I'm enjoying myself now. Oh, it's midnight. It's midnight, I'm supposed to finish. Mustard has just pinged me and told me to go to bed. Why? Are you coming up? Should I brace myself, darling? I'm probably way behind with the comments again. He's probably put something in there and I've not got to it yet. Where was I? Yeah, in those days you were either VHS, Betamax, or our school had the other one. What was it? Philips S2000? Something 2000. Oh dear. Happy days. Oh, Ross is here, Dinosaur Dad. Oh, right, he's on your fridge, Mustard. That's Mark on motoring, of course. VCR, my daughter doesn't know what a fax machine is. Betamax were better than Video 2000, that was it. That was it. Video 2000, bloody hell. Were Betamax better than VHS? Oh, controversial. They were smaller and more compact, I'll give you that. Boaty, says Simone, I have a wired telephone. Would you like me to post a photo of it on the Facebook group? I think you might like it. Yes, that's an unequivocal yes, please. I would love to see your weird wired telephone. Oh, those are anagrams, aren't they? And in fact, oh shit. I've frozen it. I have frozen it. Oh, some things don't change, do they, darlings? I would encourage you all to post pictures of telephones in the Facebook group. That's what the Facebook group is for. Posting idiotic things to amuse yourself or amuse me or just generally annoy other people. I'm a big fan of that sort of thing, but I've genuinely got a thing for telephones, and I would generally love an olive green trim phone in the front parlour there. Oh dear. Steve says, I remember having to literally tune the channels on our old pie telly by rotating a knob and putting the aerial in a certain position near the window. I remember that as well. Rover Joe says, I've been beating my bushes out today on the suspension arms, and that's not a sexual thing, in case you were wondering. Oh, 00 says, I always wanted a trim phone. Me too, mate. My grandparents had one. And I was enamoured of it. That sleek, exciting shape. The big triangular wedge that extended down to the mouthpiece there. Oh, God, they were fabulous. The mid-mounted receiver. Oh, they were something else, a trim phone. Can the guests call for help? Asked Cheeseburger. I think that's a mention of the guest spot on my on my bed in the master bedroom. I have a proper guest room where guests do not have to sleep in the same bed as me. Some of them choose to, but you're under no. If you were thinking of visiting, You're under no obligation to share my bed. I have a guest suite where you can have a bed all of your own. But if you do share my bed, then you will have exciting access to the rotary dial telephone on your bedside table. Although I'd be careful when you bend over to pick it up, because remember, I'm on the other side. I'm on the other side, and you know what I'm like. Oh God. Oh, Matt has shared his phone in the Facebook group. Excellent. I've got a portable TV and VHS combo, says Matt. You know, anybody else, I wouldn't believe that, but you, I believe it. Steve says the worst thing with those phones is that 9 took the longest time to dial, apart from 0. So if you were dialing 999 and needed an ambulance quickly, it took bloody ages. Oh, yeah. Mark on Motoring says, old tech rules. I've got a VCR tucked away somewhere, so have I, and I've actually been using a Sony mini-disc Walkman today. That's not old tech. Mini-disc is new tech. The original Walkman is old tech. I had, has anybody else ever had one of these? In my Porsche 928, the ex-Top Gear car that I called Milo, I had a Sony mini-disc player in the car, a car stereo mini-disc player. Has anybody else ever had one of those? I've never seen another one before or since, and I thought it was so cool. And I had mini-discs because I had the promotions company and the entertainment agency, so I had sound and light rigs, and we ran almost everything off mini-disc back in those days. Trim phone called a budgie phone, was it? You love to dig yourself a hole, don't you, says Mustard. I don't love to, I just can't stop myself. Did anyone see the technology collector on the news today? The poor guy's dying of cancer and searching for someone to take over his legacy and set up a museum with all the stuff he's got. Well, that's got your name written all over it, Matt. Get onto it. Jimmy Quinn says, I've still got my first phone. It's like a brick with a scrap 1980s. Oh, brilliant. Have you really? Mark on Motoring has still got a 14-inch Sony Trinitron for playing retro games. That's brilliant. Stephanie Beecham was in Tenko. Opwap, says Cheeseburger. I don't know what she looks like now, but back in her Tenko's days, hell yeah. Eurotrash. That might have been it, Steve. That might have been it. That might have been where I saw Tutti Frutti. Tutti Frutti, da 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 da. Boom. And out came the titties. Just realised I'm about 10 minutes behind, says Mustard. Boaty is 50 minutes behind, says Cheeseburger. Eurotrash was so funny, says 00. I don't remember Eurotrash per se. I remember it was a thing, but obviously some of the things that I remember were on Eurotrash. Matt says, Opwap, the sell-by date is up, but not the use-by. Oh, God. Jimmy Quinn says, Tutti Frutti was on Sky Roll. Don't know what Sky Roll is. I've never had Sky. Eurotrash was nuts, says Bad Books. Simone says, Eurotrash was rather extreme for my young and fragile mind. Oh, Tutti Frutti was Italian, says Jimmy Quinn. Oh, well, that explains it. Why did I think it was German? Yeah, that makes sense now. Italian. So it was a thing. I'm not imagining it. I'm going to Google this. I was neither, says 00. I think that might be in reference to VHS or Betamax or something. I'm behind on the comments. I apologise. Always wanted a Dodge Charger. Oh, what was the Dodge Charger? Oh, hello. Dodge Charger. Oh, was that the Dukes of Hazzard? That was a Dodge Charger, wasn't it? The General Lee. Oh, the Dukes of Hazzard. Daisy Duke in those short shorts. And that amazing... Oh, Waylon Jennings, one of the best voices of all time. doing the theme tune. Just a good old boy. Never meaning. Oh, great days. Great days indeed. Let's try and catch up with these comments. I should have gone 12 minutes ago. Boaty was a Lambo man. he put the count in it. Oh dear. Marco Motoring says, I'm a bit young. All right, nobody likes a show off. But I think Tutti Frutti was available in a different satellite requiring a motorised dish to watch it. Cheeseburger says, I've driven a modern Charger. Disappointing. Bad Book says, oh, right. Okay, the 00, neither was in reference to a Countach or a Testarossa. God, am I that far behind on the comments? Bloody hell. Prefer Countach, say Bad Books. Never driven one. You wouldn't prefer it once you drove it. Only ever seen one of the being driven. Red Countach on the A1 with DY 51010 on the number plate. Oh, hello. Simon is with us and says, word up bitches, which is quite an intro and which was hidden, but which I've now made available to you all. Oh, dear. Stop moaning about Lambos, says Simon. They're cool and that's that. I agree. My favourite Lamborghini, and this was one I owned. It wasn't a business car, this was a personal car that I bought. And it is absolutely my favourite Lamborghini. Lamborghini Espada Series 3. Easily my favourite Lamborghini. I know the Miura is amazing. I know the Countach is just mesmerising. I know the Diablo was thunderingly wonderful. I loved the Espada. And I bought a Series 3 in Giallo Fly Yellow, or that's actually a Ferrari colour, so whatever the Lamborghini equivalent was, with Nero leather, black leather, the world's fastest 4-seater car. And Espada means sword, by the way, in Italian. And the exciting thing about the Espada was, you've got this 4-seater car, and when you stood next to it, it was about there. It was below my belt buckle. It was just the most exciting thing, with probably, I think, the nicest interior of any car I've ever encountered, with the possible exception of, and this will surprise you, except it might not, because I've told you before, with the possible exception of a Jensen Interceptor Series 4. And I bet you a shed load of you didn't even know that there was a Series 4. There weren't many. I think 3. Can't remember exactly. The Series 4 didn't have the big goldfish bowl rear window. And I didn't buy and sell. I brokered one from a sheikh in the Emirates to, bizarrely, another sheikh in the Emirates. So they could have just bought it directly from each other in the Emirates. Instead, one sheikh shipped it out to me in Birmingham, and I sold it to another sheikh who shipped it back to the Emirates. Matt says, I saw the nice red MG ZR in Ripley tonight. Gave her a flash, but only received, I know where this is going, but only received a smile in return. I would not complain if she wishes to flash me back. I knew he was going to go there. How can it be less than 0, says Mustard. What? I don't know what you're talking about, boy. What did I say about being less than 0? No, I can't remember. Things can be less than 0. That's how you get minus numbers. I need to catch up on the comments. I've got no idea what you're all talking about. Good evening, good evening. The 512 TR, says Mark on Motoring, who knows his stuff, was probably a better evolution of the Testarossa, agreed. I like the Countach, but I prefer the earlier LP400 styling. Okay, it was cleaner, it was less cluttered. It was probably more of its time because the Countach hung around way too long. But if I was going to have one, I think I'd go for a last of the line QV with all of the bells and whistles and the nonsensical spoiler. But I agree that the earliest cars were much cleaner in terms of appearance. What I would really love, now I've got experience of Countaches, but I've never driven a Diablo, and on my bucket list is to drive an early rear-wheel drive Diablo. That I really want to do that. I got obsessed with them a few months ago. Watched all of the YouTube videos and all of that, and I would really love to get my ass in the driver's seat of a very early rear-wheel drive Diablo. Jimmy Quinn says Tutti Frutti was an Italian game show about 25 plus years ago. There you go, I didn't imagine it. Right, splendid, jolly good. No, oh right, yeah, okay. Hold on. Oh, right, Jimmy Quinn, and I agree. I like Bristols. I was born to be a Bristol man, and I'm not being rude. I know there's the obvious joke. I was very, very, very nearly born in a Bristol 401 in Snowdonia. My mother was incredibly heavily pregnant. They got stuck in snow, my mum and dad, and they made it. They made it somewhere more appropriate for me to pop into the world. But my father was an absolute expert on Bristols, and his best friend was a guy called Brian May, not that Brian May, who is known worldwide as Bristol Brian. He was Dad's best friend. He's the biggest Bristol dealer in the world, the biggest expert in the world, and I was brought up in and around his place. So yeah, I'm a Bristol man through and through. And Underscore also likes them, that's good. Liz says there's a silver MGS VR coming up for sale soon. Lottery win and it's sorted. Oh, brilliant. Yeah, I knew that was coming. Cheeseburger says Boaty likes Bristols, but only small ones. True. Oh, one health review. I'm not reading that out. 00 says I've had a 73 Marina without a piano on a roof, on the roof. I loved how annoyed Ian, Mr. Hubnut, how annoyed he got when Top Gear did all that stuff. And he's all over social media saying what a disgrace it is. Should be ashamed of themselves. It's an absolute disgrace. Really, really naked. Isn't that simply naked? More than naked. Some people just look more naked than others when they're naked. Oh, this is going to sound awful. Do you know what it is? I've just realised what it is. Right. When somebody's really attractive and they've got a really good body and they're naked, they look naked. They're a beautiful naked body. When somebody is less conventionally attractive or with a less conventionally perfect body, like the one that I'm equipped with these days, when we are naked, we look a whole lot more naked because we're just not as nice to look at. So you can look at somebody, male or female, and they've got a lovely body and they're like a statue, the statue of David, and you just look and think, oh, they're naked. But then when somebody's like me and they're naked, you look and you think, oh Christ, they're very naked. Don't want to see that. That's what it's all about, I think. How far behind the comments is he, says Simon? I've been here ages and it's not seen yet. 7 minutes left, says Black Lines. Steve, odds for an on-time finish. He's about 3 hours behind the comments now. It's 22 minutes past midnight. And you're all saying that, and I'm reading comments that were written half an hour ago. I'm half an hour behind. Sodding hell. He blames us for his lateness. He talks more crap than my wife. How are the baked sausages? God. In case anyone wants to know, says Simon, I'm just eating toast. If you like pina colada, getting nude on first dates. Boaty took it up the wrong gun. Don't choke on your wine. That was ages ago. Oh, God. Hold on. Right. Todger recognition, says Steve, was on your live stream just as I introduced your channel to my 13-year-old nephew. Thanks, Boaty. I think it's a genuine thing. I'm not convinced that I could pick my Todger out of a lineup, and I said as such. Oh, God. Matt says Boaty's videos would have been playing on all the TVs in colours if YouTube had been around when I was younger. Oh, God. And then Simon said, oh, Christ, we're going to be here till 2 a.m. It'll take at least an hour to get to your warning not to freeze your wine. Has he mentioned Stigbürt? Yes, I have. He dropped Stigbürt off, but no news yet. That's correct. Steve's off to bed. He's had enough, and who can blame him? Oh, God. Pictures of telephones, says Cheeseburger. On Monday, you wanted pictures of Todgers to see if you could recognise them. I did not ask for pictures of Todgers. I deny it. I'm finishing at past. I've got 6 minutes to get through these comments. Good evening, Sven. Good evening, good evening. Rover Joe has still got his PS1 with about 300 games. He collects old retro games. Good for you. We had 999 in the UK because pressing the receiver down a few times could dial 111. Oh, you've got a cassette Walkman too. Mark on Motoring. I might start calling you Mom. It'll be quicker. Mark on Motoring, Mom. That's going to sound weird in live stream. Well done, Mom. You've got a cassette Walkman too. I need to stay over with you, says Mustard. Yeah, you do, mate. Before one or both of us dies, we've got to have a proper drunken night together. Send your wife and kids off to a luxury spa when you get all rich and famous. And you get your ass around here and we'll get evilly drunk and do a whole night live stream. Or we'll take the caravan to somewhere dreadful like Skegness or Rill. Oh, God. Oh, Simone has posted pics of the phone and it's fully working. I look forward to seeing those. In one of the cars, I had an 8-track, says Jimmy Quinn. I had loads of cars with 8 tracks. And, again, this is true, right? When I first moved into my huge flat above the showrooms, I had a waterbed, heated waterbed, and in the headboard, there was an 8-track stereo player. Oh yeah, I was living a 1970s porn movie. I totally was. Quite literally, actually. God, that waterbed saw some bloody action. Oh dear. Oh, interesting, Jimmy Quinn. Tutti Frutti was an Italian channel first and went to a German channel in the 90s. So I was kind of right. I knew it was a German thing. Tutti Frutti. We should recreate that. I just need 3 lady subscribers to volunteer to wear a waistcoat and nothing else. God. Oh dear. I flashed 3 MG Rovers today and non-flashback. I drove a Johnston Interceptor 4x4, says Jimmy Quinn. Well, yeah, and it's the FF, not the F. And the FF stood for Ferguson Formula. Because, and again, you might not know this, the first 4-wheel drive production car was a Johnston Interceptor, the FF. I bet a lot of you didn't know that, but I'm sure a lot of you did know that as well. Interceptors were built in West Brom, says Cheeseburger. True. The guy brought in to save them founded IM Group, importing Hyundai and later Subaru. A born-again Christian who ended up marrying his secretary. Simone likes a nice pair of Bristols, don't we all? Steve's had enough, he's off and says goodnight all. If you were nearly delivered in a Bristol, says Cheeseburger, were you created in a test tube? God. I'm supposed to be up at 6, says Simon. I'm not convinced it's going to happen. Oh, and he's back onto this. Oh, bloody hell, Simon. Remember that time Boaty showed us his posh folder? Ah, we were so innocent back then. I'm going to show it you again tomorrow night to annoy you. I've got some stuff to add into it. Well, as Simon knows, I don't have a posh folder. I have 5 posh folders. Each of my cars has their own posh folder. You won't make it to bed, Simon, says Cheeseburger. This is brilliant. Boaty is the Ken Dodd of live streaming. And for those of you who never went to a Ken Dodd show, and you never will now, it's too late. Yeah, that is exactly what it was like. I've got 2 experiences of Ken Dodd. Number 1, when I was working the concert room in a local working men's club, when I was about 19, something like that, Ken Dodd was on. He wouldn't get off. We pulled the curtains on him. He just walked through them. And then the other experience was my wife, for my birthday, gave me a weekend in York at a fabulous hotel. And part of the treat was on the Saturday night, she booked us to go and watch Ken Dodd. And then on the Sunday, we had Sunday lunch on the North Yorkshire Moor steam railway. And I can't remember what time Doddy started, like 7 or 8 o'clock, something like that. And we booked the last table in a restaurant for 11 o'clock. Well, that was a bloody mistake, wasn't it? We eventually left at midnight and he was still going. And we asked one of the staff, you know, what time's he going to fuck off? When's he actually going to finish? And they said, well, you never know. But the last time he was here, it was about 2:30. And we couldn't take any more. We wanted wine and food. So, yeah, we left mid-Dodd. And I am indeed Ken Dodd of live streaming. No wonder he's divorced. He recommends sending women shopping whilst the men get drunk. Get it? Spa. Oh, right, yeah, okay. Yes, I get it. Oh, Cheeseburger knew about the FF. Of course you did. Well, Simone's off. Bye-bye, everyone. The folder should have its own video. Well, it will do now, just to annoy you. Stephen S. Paul is with us and says, good evening. Oh, thank fuck for that. Ken Dog had a right. I'm off. I've had enough. And God knows, I'm sure all of you have too. Before I go, there is one particular thank you that I want to say, because I don't think I've ever said it. And it is to Simon, Project MGTF, who has given me more than one useful thing. But one thing that he gave me, apropos of nothing, has proved to be so useful that I'm incredibly grateful for it. It's used literally all the time, and I don't think I've ever said thank you, so I'm going to say it now. All it is, he gave me this. It is a ridiculously long iPhone power lead, which didn't have much of a use at the point that he gave it to me. But since I've gone down to only having one iPad after the other one went, so I haven't got one iPad on duty and the other on duty doing something else but on charge over there at the charge point, I now have the super long lead plugged into the power point down underneath where you are, and it reaches here easily. So my iPad never runs out of charge. So thank you, Simon. That was turned out to be an incredibly useful gift. I couldn't be without it now, so just wanted to say thank you. I look forward to a folder video. Good night, says Sven, and good night to all of you. Let's all go. Let's not be subjected to any more of this. I'll be back tomorrow, I'm afraid. That's the bad news. The good news is there's a good video coming out tomorrow. I think it'll be good. I haven't started editing it yet, but underscores in it. There's a teaser, and David is in it, and Stigbürt is in it, and you get to see me almost die through sheer physical exertion and exhaustion. And hopefully tomorrow I will have some Stigbürt news for you. Okay, that's it. I'm off. Find the doings. Where is it? And remember to unmute. That's the one. There we go. Cheers, darlings. That's it, guys. Thank you so much. I've loved tonight as always. Thanks for your company. Thanks for your support. Jimmy Quinn, thank you for that 3 hours that you took to become a channel member. And have a great night, everybody. Sleep well. Have a safe and peaceful night. Take care of yourselves. Have a great day tomorrow. See you tomorrow night. Much love to you all. Bye-bye.